It began with a locked drawer in the back of St. Miriam's church. Father Callahan had served the parish for nearly 30 years, but even he claimed he'd never seen what was inside. The drawer had no key. No one remembered who had locked it, or when. Over time, it simply became part of the furniture, something you dusted around, but never touched. That was, until the night of the storm. The wind rattled the stained glass like brittle teeth. Rain drummed against the roof in frantic bursts. Father Callahan had sent the younger priest, Father Jerome, to secure the altar before water leaked through the roof. That's when Jerome noticed the drawer, just slightly open. No one had opened it in decades, yet now, it gaped just enough to see what was inside. A book. Its leather cover was cracked and blackened, the way old paper burns around the edges. But the strange thing was, the smell. Not mildew, not dust. The coppery, metallic temps of blood. He picked it up carefully, only to realize the cover wasn't dark leather at all. It was soaked through, stiff, the faint texture of dried blood embedded in its grain. It was a prayer book, written in Latin, but the words weren't quite right. Verses bent in strange directions, meanings twisted, and on the very last page, in trembling handwriting, there was a single warning, never read aloud. That night, Father Jerome didn't sleep. The sound of the storm outside was nothing compared to the whispers that began in his room, words he couldn't understand, though the rhythm matched the ones he'd seen in the book. He locked the prayer book away in his desk, but it didn't matter. By morning, his hands were stained red, not wet, not fresh, just red, as if the blood had seeped into his skin. When Father Callahan confronted him, Jerome swore he hadn't touched the book since the night before, but Callahan's face went pale. That book, he said slowly, was written by Father Anselm, the priest who slaughtered his entire congregation during Mass. According to parish records, Anselm had rewritten the liturgy in secret, replacing blessings with curses. When the church bells tolled one Sunday in 1823, the faithful gathered for morning Mass, and none of them ever left. Their bodies were found later, mouths frozen open in silent screams, hands still clasped in prayer. The prayer book was supposed to have been burned. That week, Jerome began to change. His sermons grew strange, the cadence wrong, the words just slightly off. Parishioners whispered that they could feel something watching them when he spoke, like a shadow hanging just behind their shoulders. One night, Father Callahan awoke to find the chapel lit with dozens of candles, their flames burning black. Jerome stood before the altar, the prayer book open, chanting in that warped Latin. Callahan shouted for him to stop, but the younger priest's eyes were glazed, his mouth moving faster, the pages now dripping wet with fresh, dark blood that pattered onto the marble floor. Then, the bell tower rang. The sound was deafening, shaking the pews, rattling the stained glass until cracks spidered through every holy image. And over the ringing came voices, hundreds of them, wailing, weeping, laughing. Callahan lunged forward, ripping the book from Jerome's hands. The moment the cover closed, the voices stopped, the candles snuffed out, the chapel plunged into silence. When he looked down, the book was gone. Only the blood remained, splattered across his hands, and smeared across the altar's open Bible. The next Sunday, when the congregation gathered, they found Father Callahan alone, pale as ash, staring into nothing. He only spoke one sentence, over and over again. The blood won't wash off.